Taxes.
Yeah.
How much are you going to pay in taxes this year?
Yeah. Well, ideally very little. And that's the hardest thing. I've actually just recently been kind of thinking about why is it that Donald Trump doesn't want to show his tax returns? I personally believe it's because there are so many real estate loopholes to take such advanced depreciation on buildings, and you just continue to purchase buildings, that you continuously, as somebody who's a full-time real estate investor, or real estate, what do they call it, professional, licensed real estate broker, whatever, you get to take all of these extra losses that normally people can't take.
This camera battery died.
Oh, we'll flip it on really quick.
Jack, would you mind turning that one off? So wait, let's just finish this thing. So you're saying then that his tax return is so intricate and he's got so many deductions and write-offs and figured out so many loopholes that the average person would not be able to decipher that and just see the net and be like, he's not making as much money as we think he is.
He is probably getting tax refund checks. And I think that would make people who see Trump as a billionaire, not trying to get political here, but sure. I think that would destroy people's perceptions. And I think that would be very damaging to the brand that's supposed to be this mega, income brand. But I mean, the reality is that's the way business works almost. That's almost how these tax laws are written is you get, for example, take Cardone, for example. He's going to have zero income taxes for 2 years on probably $20 million a year of income because he bought a plane for 40 mil. Brilliant. He's just eradicated, all these taxes that you have to pay. And now you have an amazing marketing tool. It's brilliant. And he markets himself as a billionaire using other people's money. Brilliant. But the taxes, I mean,
the plane example.
Yeah.
So my understanding with that is you buy, let's say, a $50 million plane. Now you could write off, let's say you make $10 million a year, buy a $50 million plane. You're able to write off that entire cost of the plane in the first year as a business write-off, and then carry those extra $4 million losses into the following 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
but the other thing is that when you sell the plane, you'll pay taxes on that recapture unless you could maybe find a way to 1031 that plane. Can you 1031 a plane?
Well, all you have to do, sure, because all you have to do is buy a new plane and then write that one off, right?
Yeah, but
when you sell the old plane.
Yeah. So, because now you have this entirely new deduction again coming in on your new purchase. Wait. So
let's say I write off $50 million on a plane.
Yep, zero cost basis.
Zero
sell
cost
it for 20.
basis. Sell it for 20. Now I go and buy a new plane
for 60.
Don't I pay recapture?
Sure, on that 20.
On the 20,
but now you're writing off 60.
Buying on it, so you have to keep buying more expensive planes every
year. Of course. But think about how brilliant that is, because that's how they're getting American industry moving. Like what they don't want is you to make a lot of money and do nothing. You get taxed out the butt, and that's by design. What they want is, okay, you've been successful, you've made a lot of money. Now we want you to look at the tax code and figure out where are your deductions. Well, where are deductions for Kevin? Kevin, you're a real estate professional. Go buy a ton of real estate. Here are all the deductions you want.
Why can't someone craft something that people could buy in $1 million increments that could be a 100% tax write-off that have value that you could 1031? Because my thought is this. For people that don't know, you could buy a vehicle. What is it? The Section 179 deduction. So if a vehicle weighs more than 6,000 pounds, in the first year, you could write off bonus depreciation of 100%. So a Tesla Model X is one of those things that you could buy. In the first year, it's $100,000. You write off the full amount off your income. Why isn't someone going and creating a $1 million vehicle, let's just say that's 7,000 pounds, but it's lined with gold or precious metal or something that has intrinsic value? So sure, you're buying this vehicle, but what it's actually comprised of is gold or something like that.
Investment or something.
Right. Or that car's price is pegged to the US dollar. Just something like that. It doesn't even need to move. Just some vehicle that you could say can drive afoot, and you buy that 100% for business use. But that vehicle has a value that you could then retain at any point and get loans against for income. But why hasn't someone created that yet?
Well, I think that's the art industry. because you can buy something for 20 grand, get it appraised for 50, right? I mean, you're writing off your expenses, right? But there are
art. So I looked into this because I wanted to. So I don't know how much I'm supposed to say here, but I wanted to buy a Picasso, and I looked into it. So I looked into this of spending like $200,000-$300,000 on a piece of art.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, art has it because in order to depreciate something, it has to degrade over time, and that's the gray area. Apparently, art, if kept in the right condition, will not degrade or will not lose value. So that does not pass the test to be able to be depreciated in the first year for business use, unfortunately. It has to have wear and tear.
Unless it's a full write-off.
What?
Unless you hung it up in your office and it's like...
No. Even if you hang it up in your office, it has to have wear and tear.
For depreciation,
So
but I'm just wondering, could it just be deemed a business and marketing expense? This is a Picasso in a real estate office. It brings people in. Business expense, it's all expense.
Well, then you get in the point of you could argue whatever you want,
Yeah,
but it's
that's
up
true.
to the IRS to decide whether or not
That's true. We lost one.
Oh, Jack, do you want to... So that's the argument there in terms of the IRS.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is, and there's also this balance of like fairness too, because you want to pay taxes too in some sense to give back to the society that enabled. But on the flip side, when you're fortunate and you have a really good year or whatever, yeah, I mean, to me, I look at, well, I mean, I'm creating jobs, I'm investing in real estate, I'm improving neighborhoods or whatever. I mean, you could justify it in any way you want, but the real estate tax deductions that exist are absolutely insane. We were just talking about this, the cost segregation, the upfront, especially the Donald Trump tax law in 2017 that went into effect that like doubles some of the things that you can take. It's unbelievable.